顿胖揍。
你想怎么教训我都行。
That morning, Ling Yue entered the boardroom with quiet confidence. As CEO of New Way, the country's largest e-commerce company, his presence commanded instant respect. The board members knew him as a perfectionist who accepted nothing less than flawless execution. Meanwhile, Gu and Xin, a cheerful delivery courier, was on her way to the New Way building with a bouquet of flowers. Ling Yue had ordered them to honor his late mother. Their paths briefly crossed in the elevator, where Ling Yue imagined a sudden plunge, but it was only in his mind. They parted ways without incident. Later, on his drive home, Ling Yue noticed a car trailing him. A quick turn confirmed his suspicion. The men inside were after him. They had been sent by his older brother, Ling Fong. When his brakes suddenly failed during the chase, he swerved to avoid a bus, crashed through a roadside barrier, and plunged into the sea. Witnesses, including the men pursuing him, rushed to the scene. That crash was only the beginning. This is Please Feel at Ease, Mr. Ling. That night, under heavy rain, and Xin spotted Ling Yue standing in the middle of the road. She lost control of her motorcycle and collided with him, knocking him unconscious. She brought him to the hospital, but the emergency ward was overcrowded, delaying treatment. When Ling Yue finally regained consciousness, the same men from earlier arrived at the hospital searching for him. Acting quickly, he pulled and Xin close to hide, resulting in an accidental kiss. Offended, she slapped him, knocking him out again just as the doctor entered. News of the accident sent shockwaves through his family. His father, Ling Taiyan, nearly collapsed upon hearing it. The incident made headlines, not only because Ling Yue led New Way, but also because he was a presidential candidate for the Lingist Charar group. Across town, Xin his father, Yuan Chao, saw an opportunity to grow his business, although Xin appeared genuinely concerned for Ling Yue's well-being. The next day, Ling Yue took in Xin's phone and threatened to report her for hitting him. She pleaded to resolve it privately, but he began asking questions about himself, revealing he had no memory after the accident. The doctor diagnosed him with a concussion and temporary amnesia. When Xin saw the hospital bill, she tried to send him home. Instead, he demanded 300,000 yuan in damages. She confessed she had no money, was behind on rent, and facing eviction. After paying her overdue rent, she had nothing left, so she reluctantly offered to let him stay while he recovered. Ling Yue agreed, but only after she signed a contract to follow his rules.
希尔顿酒店不好。
但是你要给我写个欠条。
Her small, cluttered apartment was a far cry from his luxurious lifestyle. Clothes lay scattered, and when he noticed a photo of a woman and child, she quickly hid it. He discovered she drew comics, but she insisted it was only a hobby. Choosing the sofa over her messy bedroom, Ling Yue soon complained about the ceiling fan above him, so she moved the sofa to another spot. The next morning, she placed chairs beside it so he would not roll off. Although she lived on instant noodles, she prepared him a healthy breakfast and even bought him slippers, leaving the price tag attached, so she could deduct it from her debt. One day at work, and Xin received news that her apartment had caught fire. She rushed home, only to find that Ling Yue had burned her microwave while trying to use it. He was unharmed, but she scolded him and gave him her phone number for emergencies. Unfortunately, this led to a flood of complaint calls from people he had angered, leaving her to clean up the mess each time. That night, and Xin reminded Ling Yue not to touch the landlord's television. Not long after, a loud scream came from the bathroom. Ling Yue had spotted a cockroach and froze in terror, while Xin calmly killed it, teasing that it might come back to crawl on his leg. The thought unsettled him so much that he barely slept. The following morning, they went to the supermarket, bought pesticide, and sprayed the entire apartment. The next day, while feeding a stray cat, and Xin noticed a missing dog flyer. It sparked the idea to take photos of Ling Yue and make a flyer to help him find his family. However, he grabbed her phone and deleted the pictures. When she tried to take it back, she tripped and fell on top of him, quickly pulling away in embarrassment. Realizing he wanted to stay hidden, she jokingly accused him of being a fugitive. He played along, warning that he might harm her if she failed to repay her debt. She promised she would, but admitted it would take time since her expenses had grown since he moved in. A sudden power outage interrupted their banter. Ling Yue noticed her bracelet, and she explained it was a gift from her brother, her only family. He then shared a fable about a king choosing an heir. The youngest son gave up at once, claiming he was unfit. The two older brothers fought until the second hesitated, giving the first a chance to kill him. When Sheen remarked that the king must not have loved the second son, Ling Yue revealed he was adopted. The comment struck her, and though she joked she might be adopted too, he sensed she was hiding something. The next day, the Ling SHR group board members met with Ling Yue's father, Ling Tian, urging him to appoint a new manager. He accused them of caring only about profits rather than his son's safety. After dismissing them, he reflected on Ling Yue's childhood, how he had always been quiet, obedient, and kept his suffering to himself until illness finally made him collapse. Meanwhile, Sheen encountered Sheener and her friends while delivering an order. One of them, Nancy, insulted her for being the Gu family's unwanted adopted daughter. Sheener defended her and even offered her a job, but Sheen declined. Nancy continued her mockery, prompting Sheen to throw wine in her face. Nancy's day worsened when Sheener rejected her boyfriend's public proposal and told her to leave. At home, Ling Yue woke from a nightmare of Ling Fong pushing him into a lake. A leaking sink reignited his fear of water. When Sheen returned, she scolded him, then noticed his distress. To calm him, she gave him headphones with music and fixed the leak. The following day, she took him to the hospital for a checkup. Ling Yue grew jealous when she spoke to the doctor, and when a nurse asked if he had a girlfriend, he immediately said it wasn't Sheen. Afterward, they passed a basketball court. Using a cane, Ling Yue watched as Sheen caught a stray ball and easily scored, earning admiration from the players. He then noticed a cut on her hand and insisted on treating it, which secretly made her happy. Later, they went grocery shopping. On the way back, Rain forced them to wait at a bus shelter. He told her to call a taxi, but she suggested taking the bus to save money. A passing bus splashed water over them, leaving them drenched. When they finally reached home, Ling Yue decided to take a shower and unexpectedly told her to help him bathe. She hesitated but agreed when he offered 200 yuan. Guiding him into the tub, she avoided looking at his bare chest. When he tried to stand, he slipped and accidentally pulled her into the water. Embarrassed by the sudden closeness, she let him help her out, and he told her to leave. The encounter stayed with her, inspiring her to later turn the scene into a comic. The next day, Sheen's manager, Du Ming, returned from a trip with souvenirs for the team, but gave her an unusually expensive gift. He insisted on driving her home and, holding a bouquet, confessed his feelings. Feeling uncomfortable, she lied that she already had a boyfriend. He still asked her to keep the gift. Watching from the window, Ling Yue's face darkened, and he hid every vase in the apartment. That evening at dinner, Ling Yue tried to joke with her, but she stayed distant. He then showed her 2 movie tickets for the weekend. She planned to sell them for extra money, but when he sulked, she agreed to go. On the weekend, Sheen tried to leave work on time, but a coworker begged her to work overtime. She agreed, even though she had promised to meet Ling Yue. Deliveries kept coming, and she stayed late. Ling Yue waited at the cinema, but the movie started without her. Hours later, she arrived and found him still there. Though disappointed, he told her to go home, but she insisted on making it up to him. She bought tickets for the last show, and they ended up having the theater to themselves. They enjoyed the film and returned in good spirits. The next morning, Sheen found Ling Yue gone. Seeing only her toothbrush in the bathroom, she thought he had left for good. Worried, she traded shifts to search for him, visiting every place they had been together. Meanwhile, Ling Yue went to an orphanage to meet his friend, Dr. Xiao. He collected DNA test results, borrowed money, and asked Ali for reimbursement. Weeks earlier, he had asked his assistant about Jian Wan, his father's former mistress who was promised company shares. She had died, and the shares were meant for her daughter. Ling Yue had seen her photo on Sheen's phone and suspected she might be Jian Wan's daughter. His amnesia had been fake. He already knew Ling Fong sent the thugs. From the hospital, he had asked Ali to investigate and stayed with Sheen to watch her, even taking her toothbrush for a DNA test. The results showed they were not related. Ali then reported a cybersecurity breach at the company, Ling Fong's role in the attack, and his search for Sheen. She also said their rival, Feita, was stealing New Way employees with higher salaries. Ling Yue told her to investigate further. As he prepared to leave, He saw Sheen searching for him and calling his name. Remembering their time together, he softened.
你在这等着，我去把水关了。我推你转转吧，看看书。
That night, they met again, but she accidentally fell into his lap before pulling away. When she asked why he had left without saying anything, he said he went for a walk and had no phone to call her. Later, in the kitchen, she tried to prank him with a shaken soda, but he avoided the spill. When she asked for help with chores, he reminded her about her debt, making her pout. Amused, he pinched her cheeks.
不过你这一副愤怒小鸟的样子看久了，还挺可爱。
Elsewhere, Ling Yue's younger brother, Ling Sheng, visited Xin bringing her game cards and a gift for her mother. After he left, Yang Hong encouraged Xin to get close to him to take over Ling's Charar group, though Xin wanted Ling Yue instead. That night, Ling Yue worried when Xin didn't come home. Meanwhile, felt uneasy walking alone, sensing someone behind her. No one was there, but soon Ling Yue appeared and walked her home. Back inside, and Xin opened her packages and said New Way's big sale had let her buy them cheaply. Ling Yue said it was just a marketing tactic, but she believed it was to thank customers. One package had a used but almost new phone she had bought for him. That evening, she planned to make instant noodles, but Ling Yue took over the cooking. His skill surprised her, and the food was so good she had seconds. When he learned she often ate noodles to save money, he promised to cook for her every day. The next day, while standing on the balcony, Ling Yue imagined Xin falling over the low railing. Worried for her safety, he called Dr. Xiao and borrowed 300,000 yuan. He used the money to raise the railing, pad the sharp edges of the furniture, and buy her a new television along with a high-end computer. Delighted, Xin joked that he must have won the lottery. Wanting to keep his CEO identity a secret, Ling Yue played along. He even handed her an ATM card for their living expenses. Touched by his generosity, she promised to do anything he asked as long as it was not illegal. The following day, Du Ming and several colleagues stopped by to visit Xin. She quickly messaged Ling Yue to hide, but when she arrived home, he was neatly dressed and preparing a lavish meal. In front of everyone, he openly announced that they lived together and hinted that he was her boyfriend. He even handed out expensive gifts, asking them to look after her at work. One night, while Xin was working alone, Du Ming arrived drunk and tried to harass her. She fought back and locked herself in the storage room. Knowing she feared the dark, he cut the power, triggering painful memories of her mother's death in a dark room years earlier. As panic overtook her, Du Ming broke in and cornered her. At that moment, Ling Yue appeared and knocked him out. He carried her home and urged her to quit her job, promising to take care of her. She thanked him but returned to work the next day, still uneasy about facing Du Ming. To her surprise, Du Ming had been fired for falsifying data, and she began receiving gifts from coworkers she barely knew. She did not realize Ling Yue had secretly purchased her company and arranged for Du Ming's dismissal. The next day, she found a brown envelope she assumed belonged to Ling Yue. Teasing him, she held on to it, which prompted him to pull her into a kiss. When he began to speak, she stopped him, saying nothing more needed to be said. Back in her room, she could not stop thinking about the kiss and even imagined him as the lead in her comic. Trying to break the tension, she brought him ice cream, claiming it was simply because of the hot weather. Later, while walking home, she confided in her best friend about Ling Yue, admitting she might be starting to like him. Her friend asked whether he had a girlfriend, but before she could answer, Du Ming appeared and blocked her path. Meanwhile, Ling Yue grew worried when Xin did not come home, especially after hearing reports of a stalker in the area. He called her workplace and learned she had left early. Before he could search for her, Ali arrived, informing him that Ling Fong was holding a secret shareholder meeting that night and advising him to attend to secure the Lingist Charar Group presidency. Elsewhere, Du Ming approached Xin to apologize, claiming he had been drunk and unaware of his actions. She accepted his apology, but his demeanor quickly changed. He accused her of pretending to be innocent for attention and blamed her for ruining his career. Then he assaulted her and forced her into his car. Ling Yue arrived in time to pull her out. Du Ming attacked, and a fierce fight broke out. Though Ling Yue struggled at first, he eventually overpowered him before collapsing from exhaustion. Ali soon arrived to assist. When Sheen asked if he should go to the hospital, Ali assured her he would be fine. Assuming Ali was his girlfriend, and Sheen grew quiet. Ali explained she owed Ling Yue her life, and later, when Sheen asked him directly, he repeated the same story, teasing that Ali might like him. When she apologized for getting him hurt, he brushed it off and promised to protect her from Du Ming. The next day, Sheener met with her father, Yuan Chao, to discuss a major project. He advised her to stop pursuing Ling Yue and find someone wealthier. She avoided a confrontation and left. Meanwhile, Ling Yue received an update from Ali. She reported that Du Ming had been sent to prison for assault and attempted kidnapping, and had confessed that someone told him Sheen was the reason for his firing. Although she denied it, Ali suspected Ling Fong. Ling Yue doubted this, reasoning that if Ling Fong knew he was alive, he would not remain silent. During their call, Sheen emerged from her room and asked about the caller. Ling Yue told her it was Ali, who wanted to send him a new wheelchair. He noticed her subtle jealousy whenever Ali's name came up and secretly enjoyed it. Later, he went out in his wheelchair and bought flowers for Sheen. On his way to meet Ali, he saw she was being followed and told her to meet him at a hotel instead. At the same time, Sheen was delivering a package to that same hotel. She spotted Ling Yue arriving with a bouquet and tried to follow him, but was stopped by security. As she was leaving, she saw Ali arrive in a black mini dress. Pretending to be Ali, Sheen asked the receptionist about her and learned she and Ling Yue had booked the same room. Inside, Ali discussed the upcoming shareholders' meeting to choose the new Ling SHRR Group president. She warned that most shareholders would side with Ling Fong because of Ling Yue's absence and urged him to return immediately. He agreed. That night, Sheen received a message from him saying he had something important to handle, but once it was done, he would come back to her. The next day, Ling Tian convened a meeting with the board and shareholders to elect a new president. With Ling Yue absent, Ling Fong was the only strong contender. As Ling Fong presented his proposal, the room fell silent when Ling Yue entered with Ali, catching everyone off guard. Ling Fong's expression hardened, realizing his plan to remove Ling Yue had failed. Drawing on his business expertise, Ling Yue methodically dismantled Ling Fong's proposal, pointing out the risks and the potential for severe long-term losses. He also revealed that he had gathered evidence exposing the flaws in Ling Fong's real estate project. When Ling Tian reviewed the documents, he was outraged to see that Ling Fong had pursued short-term profits at the expense of the company's future. Ling Tian declared his opposition to Ling Fong's appointment, and most shareholders followed suit. Enraged, Ling Fong accused Ling Yue of humiliating him deliberately. Ling Yue remained composed and presented dashboard camera footage proving Ling Fong's involvement in his car accident. Although Ling Fong denied the allegation and claimed the video was fake, Ling Tian sided with Ling Yue, already aware of his elder son's secret dealings with shareholders. Disappointed, Ling Tian told Ling Fong he should have earned the presidency through merit, as Ling Yue had. After Ling Tian left, Ling Fong hurled insults at Ling Yue and attempted to attack him, but Ling Sheng intervened. Ling Fong then issued a warning. If Ling Yue continued as heir to the Ling SHRR group, he would harm Sheen. During this time, Sheen missed Ling Yue's presence. Memories of their time together often crossed her mind, and she wished he would return. Her fear of the dark made her uneasy walking home at night, so she was surprised one evening to find her apartment building brightly lit and equipped with security cameras, arrangements quietly made by Ling Yue to protect her from afar. The following day at work, she was visited by her brother, and Sheng, newly returned from abroad. Concerned for her, he invited her to lunch.
谢谢。
对不起。
Although she assured him she was fine, he sensed she was hiding her struggles. Unbeknownst to her, Ling Yue had sent someone to follow them and felt a pang of jealousy seeing her with another man. Even so, he continued to help her in secret, arranging for her to work at a publishing company so she could pursue her dream of releasing her own comic. Later that day, Sheng confronted his father, Yuan Chao, about her. Yuan Chao, still unwilling to acknowledge his adopted daughter, insisted she was no longer part of the family. Yang Hong suggested inviting her to Yuan Chao's upcoming birthday, reminding him that she was still connected to the Gu family. She then called in Sheen, who reluctantly agreed to attend out of respect for Yang Hong. At the party, Sheen arrived with Sheng and presented her father with a gift. Nearby, Ling Fong and Ling Sheng overheard whispers that she might be their father's illegitimate daughter. Ling Fong approached her, but Ling Yue soon joined them and introduced himself.
这 跟谁介绍一下？凌月。
凌月，
二弟。
When she learned he was a wealthy CEO, she insisted she was not worthy to be near him and accepted Ling Fong's invitation to dance instead. Ling Yue ended up dancing with Sheener. During the dance, Ling Fong suggested that Ling Yue's interest in her was only because she owned 5% of Ling Yescharar Group. She denied knowing anything about the shares and rejected the claim that her mother had an affair with Ling Tian. Before she could leave, a waitress named Yu Guo splashed her with a drink, shouting accusations that she had ruined her life. The disturbance drew everyone's attention. Ling Yue and Sheng stepped in to protect her, but Yuan Chao angrily blamed her for ruining his birthday. Before leaving, she apologized and told them not to follow her. Later, Ensheen sought out Yu Guo, a former classmate, to apologize, but Yu Guo refused and accused her of causing a hand injury that ended her career. Cornering Ensheen, she was about to stab her when a heavy object fell from a locker, knocking Ensheen unconscious. Fearing blame, Yu Guo fled. Ling Yue arrived soon after and checked her condition, intending to take her to the hospital. Sheng tried to stop him, but Yuan Chao ordered his son to let Ling Yue take her. When she regained consciousness, Ensheen confronted Ling Yue for deceiving her, convinced he had only approached her for the 5% share. He denied the accusation, insisting his feelings were genuine.
我不是这个意思。
那就没什么好聊的。哎，我养了啊！
别乱来啊！
什么年代了，还真的有人要十字金啊！
At that moment, Ling Tian called, summoning him home. At the family estate, Ling Tian scolded Ling Yue for hiding Ensheen's whereabouts. He revealed that she was not his biological daughter, but the child of Jin Wan, a woman who had helped him during his lowest days. The 5% share had been a token of gratitude, and with Jin Wan now gone, it belonged to Ensheen. Ling Tian ordered his sons to treat her as family and forbade any romantic involvement. Meanwhile, Sheng visited her in the hospital and caught her trying to climb out the window, preventing her from falling.
等我马上来，大叔。我还吓死。
Later, when Ling Yue came to her home, Sheng blocked his way. Ling Yue tried to explain, but Ensheen refused to listen, ignoring his apology even when he knelt before her. Not wanting to cause her further pain, he left. Sheng then promised her that, regardless of the past, he would protect her from now on. A few days later, Ensheen was evicted for failing to pay her rent. Sheng offered her a place to stay until she could find a new home. One afternoon, while she was alone, Ling Yue arrived unexpectedly and insisted on talking. As he stepped closer, he tried to kiss her, but she quickly pulled away and ran. At that moment, Sheng returned to find Ai Li at the door. When he threatened to call the police, she let him in. Inside, he saw Ling Yue gripping Ensheen's collar and immediately assumed he was hurting her. Without hesitation, Sheng struck him. Ensheen tried to explain it was a misunderstanding, but Ling Yue did not defend himself and allowed the blows to land. Before leaving, he apologized. The next day, he sent her favorite food, but when Sheng discovered it was from Ling Yue, he threw it away. On her final day as a courier, Ensheen delivered a package to Ling Fong at a hotel. He attempted to seduce her, offering a car and property in exchange for her attention. She refused and left immediately. When Ling Yue learned about the encounter, he confronted Ling Fong and warned him to stay away from her. He then drove Ensheen home, cautioning her that Ling Fong was dangerous. Ling Fong persisted, appearing while she was having lunch with friends and trying to impress her with an extravagant meal. Ling Yue soon arrived, and they ended up dining together. While grilling meat, Ling Yue burned his hand, prompting Ensheen to tend to him. Later in the car, she forgave him, and they reconciled. She even agreed to visit his family home.
行了，我服了你了，怕了你了，原谅你了，行吗？
原谅我了吗？
At the Ling family estate, Ling Yue introduced her to his mother, Yuxin, who welcomed her warmly. She met Ling Sheng and Xin Er, though Xin Er, jealous of Ling Yue's affection, tried to embarrass her. And Xin remained composed. When Ling Tian arrived, he commented on her resemblance to her late mother. She presented him with her mother's paintbrush, while Xin Er offered him a painting. Xin Er described the artwork in detail, but Ensheen gently corrected her. Ling Tian wanted to give Ensheen a gift, but she declined, knowing her mother had helped him without expecting anything in return. He told her to treat the Ling family as her own and assured her she would always be welcome. During dinner, Ling Fong tried to provoke Ling Yue by bringing up his past with Xin Er, but Ling Sheng quickly changed the subject. When Ling Taiyan learned Ling Yue was dating Xin, he gave his blessing and told his son to protect her. After dinner, Ling Yue planned a surprise for her, though Ling Fong spoiled it. Even so, she appreciated the gesture. Ling Yue suggested they start fresh, and they officially became a couple.
这故事演完上，那么忘记过去的不开心，创造更多更美好的未来，好吗？
Ling Taiyan watched approvingly, telling Yuxin that Xin was a good person who valued the family's reputation over material gifts. Soon after, Ling Yue drove her to her old apartment and revealed that he had purchased and redecorated it exactly as before. He then took her back to Sheng's home so she could say goodbye. Though hesitant at first, Sheng accepted their relationship. The next day, Xin proposed a new comic concept to her boss. Although it was not their usual style, he approved a 10-episode trial. Her hard work paid off when the comic reached the top ranking. Her excitement faded, however, when she overheard colleagues claiming Ling Yue had paid people to vote for her and had arranged her job. Feeling insulted, she confronted him. He admitted it was true, explaining that he only wanted to help, but she felt it undermined her efforts. They argued and decided to take a break. Days later, she learned where Yu Guo was hiding and went there alone. At a remote village house, she called out to Yu Guo, only to find her preparing to attack. Before she could enter, Ling Yue arrived and stopped her. They searched the house, but found nothing. Heavy rain forced them to share a ride back, and they remained distant. They stopped for the night at an inn where only one room was available. Ling Yue offered to sleep on the floor, but when a cockroach crawled onto his leg, he jumped onto the bed. She let him stay.
我都打死了，没有了，去。
That night, he apologized for ignoring her feelings and promised to love her the way she wanted. She admitted she now understood his intentions better and asked for honesty between them. They reconciled and spent the night together. The next morning, Sheng arrived to take her home, but Ling Yue joined them, and the three returned together. Back at home, Sheng realized she had chosen Ling Yue and kept his feelings to himself. Later, Xin resigned from the publishing company and began job hunting, determined to succeed without Ling Yue's help. He continued supporting her quietly, making sure she ate well and stayed healthy. Meanwhile, Xin met Ling Yue in his car to discuss a major project. Someone secretly photographed them, and rumors of them dating spread online. Xin saw the news, but could not reach him. The meeting had been staged by Xin to create trouble. Sheng revealed that Xin and Ling Yue had dated in high school. When Xin confronted Xin, she acted friendly in front of Sheng, but deliberately wore the same perfume Ling Yue had once given Xin. Ling Yue tried to call on Xin to explain, but she did not answer. He ordered his staff to deny the rumors and remove the photos. Xin grew frustrated when her plan failed. Hoping to clear her mind, Xin went to the beach with Sheng. Ling Yue followed despite his fear of water. While trying to explain himself, he had a panic attack and collapsed. At the hospital, he told her everything, and she forgave him. She learned about his anxiety and panic attacks brought on by Ling Fong's past bullying. He admitted that her presence had eased his symptoms. Touched, she hugged him. In the days that followed, they supported each other. Since she was still unemployed, Xin and her friends started a small comic publishing business. Meanwhile, Ling Yue discovered Ling Fong was behind the theft of company data and employee poaching. After Ling Fong's company suffered heavy losses, Ling Taiyan told him to step back from work. Over the weekend, Xin and Ling Yue went camping with her friends Yo-Yo and Zhao Li. At the store, they ran into Xin and Ling Sheng, who suggested joining them. Although uneasy, they agreed. At the campsite, Xin constantly hovered around Ling Yue, making Ling Sheng jealous. Ling Yue and Xin set up their tent away from the others. That night, they watched fireflies and lit fireworks under a cloudy sky. The moment was so romantic that Ling Yue kissed her. The next day, Xin returned home to find Sheng waiting outside, having stayed there all night. Ling Yue disliked the sight of another man lingering so long at the home of someone who already had a boyfriend. Before Sheng could explain, Xin appeared and claimed he was there to pick her up. During the ride, she voiced her frustration, accusing him of always caring more about Xin. He denied it, insisting he valued them both equally. Around this time, Ling Yue faced a serious crisis at New Wei. Confidential data had been leaked, investors were pulling out, and the source of the sabotage was Yuan Chao, Xin Era's father, who was angry over Ling Yue's refusal to cooperate with Gushi Group. Not wanting to see him fail, Xin met with her father, urging him to stop. She suggested they control New Wei instead of destroying it and hinted that if business negotiations failed, they could unite the two families through marriage. Meanwhile, at home alone, Xin received a package containing a doll's severed hand. She quickly realized it was from Yuguo, and Sheng happened to visit and offered her comfort. Soon after, she heard about Ling Yue's corporate troubles and went to support him. At the same time, Xin arrived at his office with a proposed solution. As Ling Yue adjusted his tie, she tripped on the carpet and fell into his arms, just as Xin walked in. Xin trusted him and remained calm. After Xin left, she let him rest his head on her lap, massaging him gently to ease his stress. That night, Xin appeared in Xin's home to announce she would be getting engaged to Ling Yue. She claimed she was the only one who could save New Wei and told Xin she was a burden, even blaming her for Ling Yue's loss of the Ling SHR Group presidency. Xin refused to believe her. Wanting to lift Ling Yue's spirits, she took him to an amusement park, where they spent the day enjoying rides and games. That night, before heading back to the office, she gave him a warm hug for encouragement. When he arrived, Ling Tian was waiting. Aware of his son's difficulties, he offered help, but Ling Yue declined, determined to resolve the problems himself. Ling Tian smiled, confident in his son's abilities. Elsewhere, Xin had dinner with Sheng. He noticed she was hiding something and accidentally saw a train ticket booking on her phone. She explained she was planning to leave for a while to clear her mind. The next day, while passing through a mall, Ling Yue was approached by a sales girl promoting beauty products. The interaction sparked new ideas for solving New Wei's crisis. Back at the office, he called an urgent meeting, and in the following days, he secured major contracts and attracted significant investment from his father. During a press event, Yuan Chao learned that New Wei had released a public statement exposing Gushi Group's defamation and its role in harming customers. Reporters abandoned his event to cover Ling Yue's announcement. Facing the press, Ling Yue said he was not pressuring Gushi Group, but wanted the truth known. Eventually, Gushi Group admitted fault and issued a public apology. New Wei demanded only a symbolic compensation of 1 yuan. With the crisis resolved, Ling Yue went to see Xin, only to learn she had left. Believing Sheng knew where she was, he searched for him and found him drunk at a bar. Sheng refused to talk and blamed Ling Yue for her departure. Xin had decided to leave after realizing how different their worlds were. Xin words about being a burden had taken root. She stopped drawing comics and told Sheng she needed space from everyone, including him. He tried to stop her by confessing his feelings, which shocked her. She still saw him only as an older brother. Meanwhile, Ling Yue fell into depression, refusing to eat and locking himself away. Li and Dr. Xiao stayed close, worried about him. Xin returned to her late mother's hometown, where memories of her mother's death and a childhood kidnapping resurfaced. One day, she wandered to the abandoned building where she had been held years ago and suffered a panic attack. The story flashed back to the past. As a child, she and a boy named Yuan had been kidnapped but escaped together. Before parting, he promised to find her again. Yuan was Ling Yue. In the present, Ling Yue found her, brought her home, and revealed the truth. They cleared up their misunderstandings and spent time together.
得到一顿胖揍。
你想怎么教训我都行。
While there, she remembered that her mother had kept a recorder with an image of her biological father. She found it broken, along with an old photo of her mother with a man she suspected might be him. Back in the city, she went to Yuan Chao for answers. He admitted she was not his biological daughter, explaining that a DNA test after her birth had confirmed it. Determined to know more, she searched for the hospital records, only to find the building had been demolished. Ling Yue asked Li to investigate further. Soon after, Ling Yue invited her to his apartment and surprised her with the suggestion that they live together. She agreed. Xin, furious at being outshined again, vowed to win him over. Xin and Ling Yue began setting up their home. One night, she secretly checked his laptop and found an old photo of him kissing Xin on the cheek in high school, along with a door code matching Xin's birthday. Troubled, she sought advice from friends, who told her not to overthink it, reminding her of how many times Ling Yue had proven his love. Later, her webtoon studio received a collaboration offer from New Wei. She assumed Ling Yue had arranged it, but he said it was his team's decision. Before the meeting, she asked him to keep their relationship private at work, and he agreed. Afterward, he invited her to his office, where they shared an intimate moment. That night, Sheng returned her belongings and apologized for his earlier confession. She told him she still saw him as a brother, the only member of the Gu family who had truly cared for her. Soon after, she confronted Ling Yue about the things that had been troubling her. He explained each one, including the door code, which was not Xin Er's birthday, but the date of their first meeting, the day they had survived the kidnapping together. The next day, Xin and her friends worked tirelessly on character designs for New Wei. At first, their work was criticized for not matching the company's brand identity. Refusing to give up, Xin kept refining her designs until every department agreed that the final version perfectly represented New Wei's image.
发挥了网络资源的能力，用眼睛去看，用心去体会，眼睛跟心脏的部位都做了特别的设计。
Ling Yue, proud that she had succeeded entirely on her own, announced to the staff that she was his girlfriend and that she would be treating everyone to a celebratory meal. Their happiness did not last long. Only a few days later, Sheng, now serving as the new CEO of Gushi Group, launched a project called the Anshin Plan. It was nearly identical to New Wei's Ling Xiao project. Investors quickly pulled their fund from New Wei, accusing the company of copying and stealing data. Stock prices fell to record lows, losses mounted, and employees began protesting outside the company headquarters. Learning that Gushi Group was behind it, Xin confronted Sheng. He openly admitted that this was revenge for stealing the woman he loved. She told him firmly that she saw him only as a brother and that she would stand by Ling Yue even if he lost everything. At a press conference soon after, Ling Yue warned Sheng that the Ling Xiao project belonged to New Wei. He chose not to expose this publicly, knowing the project had a fatal flaw that Sheng had overlooked in his rush for revenge. Days later, the flaw caused the project to collapse, sending Gushi Group into crisis and causing its stock value to plummet. Xin blamed Xin for the conflict between the two men. When Xin later asked Ling Yue about his history with Sheng, the discussion turned into an argument, and they stopped speaking. Meanwhile, Xin asked Dr. Xiao to investigate her DNA test, which had been handled by his mentor, Dr. Jiang. That same day, Dr. Xiao broke into Dr. Jiang's office and found her file along with Yu Guo's medical record. It revealed that Yu Guo's arm paralysis had not been caused by a school accident, but by repeated doses of a particular drug. There was also an audio recording of Yang Hong instructing Dr. Jiang to falsify Yu Guo's condition so that Xin would be blamed, and to swap DNA samples to hide the fact that Xin was Yuan Chao's biological daughter. When Xin confronted Yang Hong, she was initially greeted with kindness, but Yang Hong's demeanor shifted when Dr. Jiang's name came up. Although she denied everything, Xin insisted that her mother had never been unfaithful and that she had never harmed anyone. Yang Hong dismissed her accusations and told her to forget the past. The next day, Ling Yue went to meet Sheng at the school auditorium, but found Xin instead. She had used Sheng's phone to lure him there. When he tried to leave, she locked the doors and blocked all phone signals. Ling Yue told her plainly that he had chosen Xin, but she refused to accept it, insisting she was the better choice in every way. She brought up their 10 years of history, but he reminded her that they had only been friends. At the same time, Ali informed Xin that Ling Yue was missing. Using their GPS link, she tracked him to the school, broke down the locked door, and pulled him into her arms in front of Xin. Furious, Xin accused Xin of taking everything from her and even showed a photo of Ling Yue kissing her cheek in the past. And Xin dismissed it, saying that was in the past, and now he was her boyfriend. She declared she would no longer tolerate bullying and would live her life fully with Ling Yue. Before leaving, Ling Yue told Xin that no matter what happened, he would always choose Xin. Soon afterward, Ling Yue received news that his father had suffered a stroke and was in the hospital. The Ling SHR Group board urged him to take over temporarily, as his fathers will named him the successor in such circumstances. Although worried, Ling Yue returned to the company. Seeing his stress, Xin took him to a giant aquarium to help him relax. The next day, Ling Yue met with Sheng to end their feud. He proposed a partnership between New Wei and Gushi Group, acknowledging Sheng's capabilities. Surprised, Sheng accepted, realizing that personal conflicts should not interfere with business. During this time, new relationships began to form around them. Ling Sheng confessed his feelings to Xin, and to his surprise, she agreed to be his girlfriend. Ali and Dr. Xiao admitted their feelings for each other, encouraged by Xin, while her friend Yo-Yo decided to open her heart to Zhao Li after letting go of her feelings for Sheng. Later, Ali helped Xin renovate her office and shared how she had met Ling Yue years ago, when she was a mercenary hired as a bodyguard. Encouraged by Xin, Ali and Dr. Xiao began dating. Not long after, Sheng discovered suspicious financial transfers from his mother to Yu Guo. Years earlier, Yu Guo had bullied Xin out of jealousy, and after a stairwell accident left her injured, she had become obsessed with revenge. In the present, Yu Guo called Xin to meet her at an abandoned building. On her way there, she was intercepted by a man named Lun. At the same time, Sheng overheard his mother speaking about Xin and Yu Guo, and Ling Yue learned that Xin had gone alone to the meeting. He rushed to the building, where Lun held a knife to her throat and demanded Ling Yue sign a share transfer agreement. To save her, Ling Yue signed, then quickly attacked Lun. A fierce fight broke out, and Ling Yue gained the upper hand. As he tried to free Xin, Yu Guo struck him from behind, knocking him unconscious. Lun left with the signed agreement, instructing Yu Guo to finish her revenge. Unbeknownst to them, he had also cut the gas line, intending for them all to die. As Yu Guo prepared to attack, Ling Yue regained his strength, broke free, and shielded Xin. Suddenly, Ling Fong appeared and knocked Yu Guo out. He explained that he had followed Lun after overhearing his name and revealed that his men had never tampered with Ling Yue's car brakes. It was then that Ling Yue realized the person who had been targeting him was Ling Sheng. The shared transfer document bore their father's company's seal, which was kept in the home safe that only family members could access. Ling Fong added that Ling Sheng had been meeting privately with several shareholders and board members. Not long after, Sheng arrived. When they questioned Yu Guo about who was behind everything, she revealed that the mastermind was his mother, Yang Hong. Sheng had already discovered suspicious financial reports showing repeated transfers from his mother to Yu Guo. It became clear that Yang Hong and Ling Sheng had joined forces to remove Ling Yue and Xin, seize Ling Yue's shares, and arrange for Xin to marry Ling Sheng. Upon hearing this, Ling Yue instructed Ling Fong and Sheng to keep it a secret that he and Xin were still alive until he had enough evidence to expose them. Meanwhile, Lun met with Ling Sheng to give his report. Beneath Ling Sheng's courteous exterior was a ruthless mind. Resentful that Ling Yue had always been their father's favorite, he had partnered with Yang Hong to destroy both Ling Yue and Nu Wei. His goal was to take control of Ling SHR Group, while Yang Hong's target was Xin. Every attack against Ling Yue and Nu Wei had been orchestrated by Ling Sheng, yet Ling Yue had always managed to survive and turn the situation to his advantage. At a family lunch, Sheng could barely hide his disbelief that his own mother could plot to kill the woman he loved. He announced that he would resign from the company and return to his studies. Later, he confronted Yang Hong, but she evaded his questions. When he mentioned the asset transfers, she claimed she had every right to manage Yuan Chao's wealth as she saw fit. The next day, Ling Sheng held a meeting to announce that Ling Yue had transferred all his shares to him, making him president of Ling SHR Group. As planned, Ling Fong played along. Outside the office, Ali confronted Ling Sheng, blaming him for Ling Yue's death, but security quickly intervened. Ling Fong later criticized Lun for failing to protect him. Days later, with help from Xin's friends, Ling Yue captured Lun and locked him in a warehouse. Ling Sheng, still uneasy, could not ignore the fact that no bodies had been found. His hatred for Ling Yue ran so deep that he deliberately provoked their father's heart attack by showing him a newspaper headline declaring Ling Yue dead. This had been his plan all along, to use their father's condition as bait to draw Ling Yue out. But Ling Yue remained cautious. Together with Ling Fong, he devised a counterattack. They sent a woman to get close to Ling Sheng. Although he rejected her, photos of them together were taken in secret and sent to Yang Hong. At the same time, Dr. Xiao helped Ling Yue sneak into his father's hospital room to check on him, while Yo-Yo and Zhao Li planted a recorder in Yang Hong's bag. After a private meeting between Yang Hong and Ling Sheng, they retrieved the device and handed it to Ling Yue. On the day of Xin engagement, Sheng shut off the house CCTV so Ling Yue and Xin could slip inside. While Ling Yue worked on opening the safe, Xin kept watch. Xin unexpectedly returned, saw them, but chose not to report it. Before the party began, she told Sheng she had let them go and asked them to always stand by her. During the celebration, the large screen showing engagement photos suddenly switched to a recording of Yang Hong and Ling Sheng discussing their plot.
我们这个资产转移是非法的，咱们新2以前的事情就不会被发现了。
chaos erupted as reporters rushed to question them. Shocked and humiliated, Sheener rejected Ling Sheng's advances, and then Sheng quickly led her away. Sheener confronted Yang Hong, who claimed everything she had done was to protect her. Ling Sheng tried to deny the accusations, calling the recording a fake, but Ling Yue appeared to confront him directly. Ling Sheng retaliated by revealing that Ling Yue was their father's adopted son. At that moment, Ling Fong entered with Ling Tian, though in a wheelchair, was strong enough to face them. Ling Tian was heartbroken to learn that his youngest son had committed such crimes. Ling Sheng believed he would still become president since he held the most shares, but Ling Tian and Ling Fong transferred their shares to Ling Yue, making their holdings equal. And Sheen then revealed she owned 5% of the company and gave all of it to Ling Yue, giving him the majority. Ling Tian apologized to the shareholders and urged them to choose wisely. The shareholders voted unanimously for Ling Yue, acknowledging his proven leadership at New Way.
是靠大家共同努力，一砖一瓦，谢谢大家。我也支持林业。
支持林业总。
支持林业总。
还有我也支持，我也支持。
Defeated, Ling Sheng continued to blame him for everything. Soon afterward, and Sheen learned that Yuan Chao had a brain tumor. The surgery was successful, but he developed dementia and might never remember she was his daughter. Yang Hong was also hospitalized, her health shattered by psychological shock, and faced a full investigation for her crimes. And Sheng remained strong, urging his mother to repent. Yu Guo, now aware of the truth, visited Yang Hong, praying for her recovery so she could confess and accept justice. The following day, Sheng postponed his studies to take over Gushi Group, while Sheen promised to care for their father. Sheener came to apologize to Sheen, who forgave her immediately. They embraced, finally acknowledging their bond as sisters. Although Ling Yue had been chosen as Ling SHR Group's new president, he declined a role to focus on New Way and entrusted the position to Ling Fong. He and Sheng signed a cooperation agreement for the Ling Xiao project. Later, Sheen visited Ling Sheng in prison. He apologized and told her to forget him, but she vowed to wait for him no matter how long it took, showing him the engagement ring she still wore.
我不配给你幸福。
Sometime later, Sheen received a call from Li saying Ling Yue was missing. At home, she found a box containing a roll of tape, the same one he had once given her after she was injured on the basketball court. Following the clues and road signs he had left, she rode her scooter to an amusement park, where Ling Yue revealed he had planned the entire surprise. After all they had been through, he proposed, and she accepted without hesitation.
你愿意嫁给我吗？
没问题。
In the final scene, Sheen turns their journey into a comic, and they go on to live happily ever after. So the moral of the story is, if you fake amnesia, burn a microwave, and fight half your family over corporate shares, you might still get the girl, but only if you also cook her real food.